So, today we're talking about something most people try to avoid, suppress, or spiritually bypass, and that is anger. This video is inspired by something that happened last night, which caused me, for a brief moment, a lot of anger. A lot. But then I caught myself and started thinking logically, what if anger isn't your enemy? What if anger is actually raw power waiting to be redirected? So that is the focus of this video. So let's start with this. Across ancient spiritual traditions, psychology, martial arts, and even alchemy, intense emotions were never seen as bad. They were seen as energy. And energy, when consciously directed, can become transformation. So today we're exploring how to transmute anger into abundance, emotionally, spiritually, creatively, and even financially. Most people are taught that anger is destructive. Calm down, don't be angry. Good people don't feel rage. But anger usually appears for a reason. Anger often signals violated boundaries, ignored intuition, suppressed truth, betrayal, injustice, or deep unmet needs. Underneath anger is usually pain, but also power. Anger is high charged emotional energy. And when that energy is left stagnant, it can become bitterness, self-sabotage, depression, addiction, or emotional exhaustion. But when that same energy is redirected consciously, it becomes ambition, courage, discipline, creativity, leadership, and transformation. The key is learning not to explode and not to suppress, but to alchemize. Ancient alchemists believed base metals could be transformed into gold. Spiritually, the same principle applies to human emotions. Your anger is the raw material. Your awareness is the fire. And your actions determine whether the energy destroys you or builds your future. So, one of the first steps in emotional transmutation is awareness and acceptance. Instead of saying, I shouldn't feel this, say, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Name that feeling without judgment. Notice where it lives in your body. Maybe it's a tightness in your chest, heat in your stomach, pressure in your jaw, restlessness in your hands. The moment you become conscious of anger, instead of possessed by it, you reclaim your power. The second step is movement. Anger creates physical charge in the nervous system. If you bottle it up, the energy turns inward. That is why movement is essential. Heavy workouts, sprinting, dancing, shadow boxing, fast walking, or screaming into a pillow can release stored up emotional pressure. Some people have had their biggest breakthroughs after channeling anger and rage into building businesses, writing books, creative art, transforming their bodies, or completely changing their lives. The energy itself isn't negative. It's the direction that matters. Think about how many successful people were fueled initially by rejection, heartbreak, betrayal, or anger. That emotional fire became momentum. Another powerful technique is setting firm boundaries. Sometimes anger appears because your spirit is exhausted from saying yes when it wants to say no. Abundance requires energy preservation. If everyone had access to your time, attention, and emotional labor, your creative energy becomes fragmented. Healthy anger can teach you to stop over explaining, stop people pleasing, and stop abandoning yourself. Boundaries are spiritual protection. And ironically, when people begin respecting their own energy, abundance often increases naturally. Why? Well, because clarity attracts opportunity. Creative channeling is another major form of transmutation. Some of the greatest music, poetry, inventions, and spiritual revelations were born from emotional intensity. Instead of destroying something, create something. Journal aggressively. Paint emotionally. Write uncensored thoughts. Record voice notes. Build projects. Start the idea that you've been postponing. Your anger may actually be revealing hidden desire and unrealized purpose. Sometimes rage is grief mixed with untapped potential. There's also a deeper spiritual aspect to this process. Many spiritual traditions teach that emotions become dangerous when they are unconscious. In Tibetan Buddhism, there is a practice called Tonglen, where difficult emotions are acknowledged and transformed through breath and compassion rather than repression. Even simple deep breathing can interrupt destructive reactions. Breathing slows the nervous system and creates space between emotion and action. And that space is where transformation begins. Because abundance isn't just money, it's emotional mastery, it's inner stability, it's being able to feel intense energy without letting it control your destiny. Here's a simple 3-step alchemist process. You can practice anytime anger arises. Step 1 is awareness and acceptance. Name the emotion honestly, without shame. Step 2 is move with charge. Do not bottle it up. Let the energy move physically, creatively, and emotionally. And then step 3, constructive redirection. Ask yourself, how can I use this energy for my highest good? And then act immediately. Clean your environment, work on your goals, exercise, create, make the difficult phone call, launch a project, protect your peace. Action transmutes emotional energy into momentum. And one final truth. People often fear anger because they associate it with destruction. But conscious anger can become clarity. Sometimes anger is the soul refusing to remain small. Sometimes it's the internal signal that your life is demanding change. The goal isn't about becoming emotionless. The goal is to become intentional with your energy. Because once you master emotional transmutation, even your darkest moments can become fuel for growth, purpose, healing, and abundance. And that is real alchemy.